So one of the wonderful things about this gratitude tour, too, of the many that we've had, is that sometimes we have a little extra free time, and now we're in Atlanta, and we were actually able to give Gary and Debbie Teratude, who are Sharon's cousins, a quick call and see if they were available for us to come up. They've got a store in Marrietta Square. It is called Rubber Stamp Fantasy, right? And it's awesome. Thank you. Thanks. Perfect for the gratitude tour. But just take a look at this store real quick. Sharon's going to do a quick pan. It's amazing. So now come back to me. Come back over here. I'm right here. Hey. So what we're going to do right now is, as Sharon follows me around, is this is Debbie. Hi. And Debbie's going to give us a little walkthrough on stamp technique. Right? And then you can also make your own custom stamps online and send them up here, and she can get them together for you, which we're going to do. We haven't decided exactly what it's going to say yet. Something like my attitude is gratitude or something. So I'm going to step out of the way, and we're going to come over. And so Debbie, show us what it is that we have going on here.
Okay. What I'm going to be doing now is just showing a couple of different types of ink pads and how to ink a rubber stamp. So for those who are not familiar with it, a wood mount stamp with the rubber side. And
that's the wood mount stamp, right?
And you always want to leave your stamp rubber side up and take your ink pad, which is raised, and ink up.
No kidding. You always see people do it the other way, and stamping that way.
So that way you eliminate getting ink around those edges, and you always want to stamp on something a little cushioned, and then you get a wonderful impression.
That's beautiful.
All right. Now I'm going to be changing inks. Bear with me just a moment.
And so now you're cleaning that off?
Because I'm going from a dye ink now to what's called a pigment ink. And then I'll explain just very quickly after I do that some of the coloring elements. So this time I'm using a black pigment ink. And I'm going to stamp that again. And this time,
look at that.
I'm going to take what's called embossing powders. And we have them in tubs like this, but they do come in jars.
Okay.
But it's just easier to apply it like this. Shake it off. And then I'm going to take a heat tool. And
Ooh, she's getting fancy.
We're going to transform that black into gold embossed.
Wow. Wow. That is cool. It's doing it right before our eyes. That is cool.
Now, if I were to have used a colored pigment underneath there, just to give you a quick view of that.
I'm cleaning it again.
Cleaning it again because this time I'm going to use a colored pigment.
Okay.
And I'm going to stamp that next to here. And this time I'm going to use a clear powder.
So the color depends on what
whatever
you're
pigment.
using.
Well,
okay.
actually, the pigment underneath your clear powders are what determines what the end result will be.
Okay.
So now I've got an embossed pink flower.
That's neat.
So I don't know if you can see that.
Gotcha.
Differences. And then once that's cooled
beautiful.
off, it's completely permanent. Now, as far as coloring goes,
I'm just going to touch it.
Sure.
Ooh, that's so cool.
On any of your images, you can use colored pencil.
Okay.
To color, you can use chalks, so you can just come in and just quickly color, like so. That's just with colored pencil, and you can do that on any of them. With anything wet, medium-based, you can color your items that are embossed, or there are special inks that, once again, you can use. And I know this is pretty detailed, but
this is a very quick overview. Yeah, it's awesome.
And I'll do this one. This ink pad is designed to be used with anything wet. Okay. So I can come in with a yellow pen or wet marker, and
it won't
black
smudge it.
Will not smear.
Wow.
You can also take your markers and make them into watercolor. So I'm using just a palette here, and if you had that red-orange color and you didn't like that deep red like that, you could just take a paintbrush with water, pick up a little bit of color, and now you've changed that
Oh, look at
dark
that.
red to that shade, or you
Clever.
can mix your colors, come up
Wow.
with a whole different shade. And if I were to do that with just this ink pad, it would run and bleed. So that's that. So that's just some of the things you can do with your stamps and with powder. And if you don't find a stamp that you like, then we can also do custom stamps. And
This now is the custom stamp segment.
these are just some examples. This was a sheet of rubber that a customer, images rather, that a customer provided for us.
Now, how do you have these sent to you? You can just
And
put them
you can-
together and send on a,
You can do it with a PDF.
Okay.
And to the store, and line drawings, no photos.
No photos,
Line
okay.
drawings. And the cleaner, the sharper, the better. And then it's transformed into what's called a sheet of rubber that is then attached to a sheet of cling foam, as it's called. Then you cut it out, and what you get is your foam-mounted stamp that goes on a lucite block. You ink that and stamp it just as if it were a wood mount stamp, and when you go to need another image, you pull that off and put that on.
and so these are, you can use this one lucite block for many different stamps.
Yes, and there are different sizes of lucite blocks, so that if you have a small stamp or a large stamp, it can all be utilized that way.
What is your, how do they send it to you?
Send it to Gary Custom Images at
Rubbers, RSF,
RSF,
custom images at gmail.com.
rsfcustomimages@gmail.com. And the price.
RSF, am I on there, Sharon? RSF custom images at gmail.com. Now back to the regularly scheduled
And
program.
Pricing is determined by the size of the rubber. It can be as detailed as you want it to be, and we can get back with you. Normally it takes about 4 business days to have that done.
That's cool. So, do you have any idea what ours is going to be yet?
Not sure, but we will discuss it on our drive, on our gratitude drive.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank y'all, we appreciate it.
Awesome.